no other announcements today. So I would like to invite Abigail and Ryan to the stage to introduce their sister and our chapel speaker, Caroline Carpenter.
Good afternoon. I'm Ryan, and this is my sister Abby, and we're here to introduce our sister Caroline. Caroline has many great qualities. She's humorous, unique, fun, kind.
But they already know that. So here are a few things you might not know about Caroline. Caroline was a bit of a troublesome young child. You could often find her sitting in timeout. She couldn't help but lie or sneak sugar, her now famous excuse being, "That's just how God made me."
Caroline has even invented her own kind of vocabulary. In our house, we call them Carolinisms, and she seems to say things wrong more often than right. Whether something fits like a sock, or it's the sharpest pencil in the box, Caroline has a knack for inventing sayings that only she could pull off.
Want to work out at 7 a.m.? She's in. Take a 20-mile bike ride? She'll do it. Spend the day on the lake, or just watch a movie? She's down. Drive 45 minutes both ways just to get froyo? She went with me. Caroline shows up, and she makes everything more fun while she's at it.
All right, I have a question. Does anyone here enjoy Sonic? I do too. But I can guarantee you that no one in this room has had more Sonic than my sister.
Speaking of Sonic,
As you can tell, as a family, we enjoy Sonic. At our house, there's always a cup in the trash or in the fridge. Proof that Caroline's managed to get the whole family hooked. And the best part is that we never have to pay. Caroline will always cover the bill.
these are just a few glimpses into who Caroline is. She's genuine, bold, hilarious, and she loves with her whole heart. She has a way of making ordinary moments memorable and special just by being there. Caroline never fails to make people laugh, to encourage them, or to simply be present when someone needs her. She is a cheerleader, a listener, and a loyal friend.
I'm sure that we could stand up here and tell story after story after story, but it still wouldn't capture everything that Caroline means to us. To know Caroline is to love Caroline, and life with her is brighter, funnier, and better.
So without further ado, we're proud to introduce my little sister,
My big sister,
and your Chapel Talk speaker,
Caroline Marianne Carpenter.
Thank you, Abby and Ryan, for that introduction. Ryan, whether it's our breakup ice cream, Sonic runs, arguments over songs, dance parties, or Glorilla concerts, you've always been there for me. Although I can't see why people think we're similar, it is one of my favorite compliments to get. Abby, you're usually the one shining on this stage, so I hope to make you proud today, because I've looked up to you my whole life. I'm going to miss you so much when you leave, but I can't wait to see what you do in Scotland. Paulina, you mentioned me in your chapel talk, and seeing as though you weren't one of the best people in my life, I thought I'd return the favor. You've shaped my GPS experience more than you know. Your humor lights up my days, but it's your genuine heart that has made a true impact on me and all of GPS. Thank you for all the Les Mis concerts. To Katie, we have two pretty special chapel talk numbers, but I'll let you tell them later. And to my wrath, Ada, you have one of the biggest hearts I know. It's been a privilege watching you grow up, and I am so excited to know you as a GPS girl. For the longest time, I didn't even realize I was living on a school campus. It just felt like home. As a kid, I would wander through Macaulay School over to the dining hall with my parents and play in the trees until they were ready to go home. Living here has meant moving around frequently. My first dorm was Burns, where I remember decorating for my brother the day he was born. In Founders, I put on skits with my campus friends, decorated for holidays, and helped host cookouts. Eventually, my family moved into a house on campus, which quickly became one of my favorite places. Macaulay also has its perks: an amazing pool in my backyard every summer, workouts at the squash center, and my personal favorite, the mailroom. And of course, getting ready for a football game. My house naturally became the gathering spot, which made it even more special. Growing up here has been the greatest gift. It gave me a community and a home. But it was not always this grand. See, when I was about 3, my family had 2 dogs. We'd walk them around campus, and when they peed on bushes, so did I. I know, guys, it's horrible, and I wish I could say it stopped there, but no. After football games, behind the dining hall, near the lake, in case you haven't gotten it, I, Caroline Carpenter, peed all over Macaulay campus. At the right age of 3, I had gone completely feral. It got so bad that one day my dad received a phone call from the head of Macaulay begging him to tame me. So yes, luckily I grew out of it, and somehow they still let me come to GPS. But to this day, when I tell people I live at Macaulay, I usually get flooded with the same remark. Oh, so you must be flooded with guys and boyfriends? But I'm here today shaking my head, questioning this logic. Let me make it clear. Living on campus does not guarantee love. Sometimes, your own backyard, where you feel very, very comfortable, just isn't the place to make your most romantic impression. But I did find so much more in the community. I found my home and was surrounded by people who loved me and cared for me. And so maybe having a backyard boyfriend just wasn't the most important reason I should live on campus. When I was little, I was obsessed with candy. Safe to say that did not go away, but I would grip my hands on anything sweet, chocolate, or that made me hyper crazy. At every family gathering, I would eat about 3 bites of my dinner before racing to the dessert table to grab as many cookies as I could fit in my hands. I did this so much and so proudly that my entire 70-person family knew about it. One day, however, as I peered inside my lunchbox, the worst possible thing happened. No dessert. No Oreos or fruit roll-ups, nothing. My mom had forgotten to pack me a dessert. None of my friends had any spare candies to give me, and I was already banned from the snack closet because I'd previously been caught smuggling goldfish out of it during recess. So as I sat there, empty-handed at the lunch table, I looked around for options. Then it hit me. I had a school cafeteria where we could get food. So happily, I walked over to the cafeteria line, waited eagerly, and when it got to me, I proudly reached for an ice cream sandwich and scanned my name. I had busted the system, overcame the oppression my mom put on me when she so terribly failed to give me a dessert. I felt on top of the world. As the second week of my sugar heist wrapped up, my mom called me to the kitchen. She was typing on her laptop, and her face wore a grim, disappointed look. Caroline, she questioned, did you buy ice cream at lunch? No. Why would you ask that? I laughed off, my face red with fear. But as she turned her head, I realized my plan had a fault. When I gave the cafeteria worker my name, that meant she charged me. Oh no. So as I predicted, when my mom turned on her computer, 9 days of ice cream receipts came up. Also, I had gotten ice cream 10 times that day, so at one point I fully stole the ice cream. As she showed me the proof, I turned to my most final and devious excuse. Abby did it. But sadly, it showed first names too, and I was grounded. 1 week for buying ice cream without permission, and the second week for lying. I was forced to work, which involved chores all over my house, and I was even put on sugar probation. It was vile, uncalled for, and extremely dramatic. Also, ice cream was like 75 cents this time, so it was just child labor. Yes, looking back, it was a correct punishment, but for my first grade self, I was distraught. And as I always do, my family stepped in. All 70 members knew how hard this would be for me and saw the unfairness of my prison, so they all protested my mom in the #FreeCaroline movement. Faced with overwhelming support, my mom surrendered, and sugar was back on the table, literally. I sat, elbow against the armrest, head against the window, with Phoebe Bridgers playing in my ear. As I looked down at the snowy January lights disappearing before me, I was about 5 minutes into my 14-hour flight to Brisbane, Australia, where I'd be living for 2 months on exchange. My head bounced between what my uniform might look like or who I'd take to the semi-formal dance. On my second day, I eagerly went from class to class, wide-eyed and curious. But halfway through, I couldn't find my classroom, and that tiny problem unraveled me. A teacher shouted at me to get to class. My stomach dropped, my chest tightened. I turned every corner after corner. Every door looked the same. Girls laughed with accents that weren't mine. I couldn't breathe. My navy blue uniform felt tight, and the light brown Panama that gave me a headache. I ended up in the exchange dean's office, tears spilling out before I could explain. I missed the sound of my bed creaking, my dog Buster racing toward me, the embrace of my siblings. Beneath the homesickness, I was scared. I pictured eating lunch alone for 10 weeks. I was worried I wouldn't fit in, and after only day 1, I'd failed. That night, I called my mom, and I told her I wanted to come home. She listened, then said, sleep first, then decide. So I stayed. By the second week, I knew my host family a little bit better, but I was still trying to prove myself through dinners and family outings. So when George's mom, Fiona, invited me on a hike, I smiled and said yes, even though I'd only hiked once in my life. 20 minutes in, I was in the worst way so incredibly American. Flip-flops, jean shorts, a bikini top, and a towel slung over my shoulder. The trail was ankle-deep mud from last night's rain, but I stayed silent, determined to impress Georgia. Georgia glanced over at me and frowned. The mud carries illness, she warned, offering to take me back to the car, but I'd promised Fiona, so I laughed it off and kept going. Then it got worse. Mosquitoes swarmed me, and while swatting them away, I slipped straight into the mud. Tears prickled, but I laughed through them. That's when I felt something on my foot. I looked down, expecting a worm. But no, remember, we are deep in the Australian bush. It was a fat, blood-sucking leech. Freaking out, I calmly asked Georgia to take it off. Fiona suddenly shouted, "Wait, let me take a picture first." "What?" I screamed. "Take it off!" When the hike was finally over, I had a leech mark on my leg and had yelled at my host mom. But somehow we were closer, and from then on, I started being my true self around her family. Has anyone ever felt their heart race so fast they thought they were dying? Well, I have. I spent my sophomore year in and out of doctor's offices, sometimes showing off my heart monitor, and other times crying over missed weeks of the swim season. One day, my monitor caught the problem. I'd had an episode of supraventricular tachycardia, or SVTs. This disorder caused my heart to race up to 300 beats per minute with no apparent reason. After this diagnosis, my doctor gave me a choice. I could get surgery, start medication, or just see if it goes away. And since it wasn't bothering me, I shrugged it off. That brings us to the silent disco. Now, I love dances. I love dancing, but most of all, I love the wobble. So, when I heard it blasting on the blue radio, I switched my headphones and started wobbling each way. But that's when I felt it. The SVT. My heart started pounding, boom, 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 and my hands started shaking and sweating. I yelled to my friend that my heart was racing, and scared, she told me to sit down. Wobble loving me laughed it off and kept dancing. That lasted for about 20 seconds before my face got pale and I fell over right onto my horrified friends. I didn't hear the music anymore, just my friend's voice, shaky and scared, saying my name over and over again. They dragged me off, screaming for help, worried something was truly wrong. The problem was, no one stopped dancing. They saw my unconscious body being dragged off the floor and kept going. The music played, the wobble continued. All of my friends cried over my limp body. I felt like I blinked, but when I opened my eyes, everything was quiet except my sister whispering, "You're okay, you're okay, you're okay." I was scared, but I was being cared for by my sister and my friends. Safe to say after that I did get the surgery, and I am okay now. So what does all of this mean? I didn't survive a war, I didn't invent anything, I just lived. awkward, joyfully, fully. And now, 750 people know more about me than they did, and that's enough. If I could go back and tell my younger self anything, it wouldn't be any huge advice. It would be stop worrying so much. It all works out. You'll trip, fall, and completely humiliate yourself. But you'll also laugh harder than you ever thought possible. You'll find your people, the ones who laugh with you, carry you, and even make the most ridiculous moments worth it. The best stories are the messy ones, because even in those, in the chaos and the awkwardness and the fear, there's love. Love in the teammates' cheer from across the pool, and your coach's endless support. Love in your grandmothers who cheer you on for everything. Love in the fry tags who always have your back. Love in the family you have waiting for you across the globe. Love in the sisterhood at GPS. Love in the girl who smiles at you in the hallway. Love in the kids you taught how to swim and the ones you babysit through divorce. Love in the teachers who make you into a better person. Love in your cousins who know how to make any night memorable. Love in the Starbucks runs, late night talks, jet ski rides, crumble sunsets, football games, concerts, and sleepovers. Love in your uncle who stepped up when you needed a grandfather. And love in your family, and your siblings, and your dad who inspires you to be curious, funny, and always try new things. And then your mom who has never failed to make your day better. And like it says in Love Actually, General's opinion starting to make out that we live in a world of hatred and greed, but I don't see that. It seems to me that love is everywhere. Often, it's not particularly dignified or newsworthy, but it's always there. If you look for it, I've got a sneaky feeling you'll find that love is all around. Thank you.